Picture stepping onto the wide, wraparound porch of a grand Queen Anne mansion, its towers reaching toward the sky. Imagine the crisp echo of footsteps on the steel panels of a post-war Lustron home, gleaming in the afternoon sun. Or the curious geometry of an octagon house, every angle catching light in a way modern designs never do. These once beloved American house styles have all but vanished, replaced by sleeker, more uniform builds. Today, let's journey back through time and rediscover 10 old home styles that no longer grace our neighborhoods. 1. Octagon House. Coming in at number 1 is the Octagon House. A curious 8-sided design that briefly captured America's imagination in the mid-19th century. Popularized by Orson Squire Fowler, these homes promised better light, improved airflow, and more living space using the same amount of building material. On a warm summer afternoon, sunlight could stream evenly through the angled windows, while a gentle cross breeze drifted through the wraparound veranda. Many featured flat roofs with a central cupola, rainwater collection systems, and clever heating innovations, remarkably forward-thinking for their time. Yet despite the efficiency, octagon houses never became mainstream. By the early 1900s, architectural tastes shifted toward more traditional shapes, and many fell into disrepair. Still, a few survive as historical treasures, like the Octagon House in Watertown, Wisconsin, and the Grand Longwood Mansion in Mississippi. Fowler's own elaborate creation, Fowler's Folly, became infamous for its extravagance and was eventually abandoned and demolished in 1897. Today, stepping inside one feels like entering a forgotten chapter of American design. 2. Queen Anne Style House. Coming in at number 2 is the Queen Anne style, America's most whimsical take on Victorian architecture. Popular between 1880 and 1910, these homes were anything but shy, bursting with asymmetrical facades, patterned shingles, and towers that seemed to scrape the sky. On a lazy summer evening, you could sit on the wraparound porch, rocking gently in a wicker chair while the shadows from ornate woodwork danced in the golden light. Every detail, from the stained glass windows to the gingerbread trim, felt like a celebration of craftsmanship. This style arrived as a bold departure from the more formal French-inspired Second Empire homes, giving Americans a chance to show personality in their houses. But by the early 1900s, tastes shifted toward the cleaner lines of Colonial Revival, and Queen Anne slowly faded from new construction. Still, its spirit lives on in the Carson Mansion of Eureka, California, perhaps the most photographed Victorian home in the nation. For anyone lucky enough to have grown up near one, the memory of those turrets and porches is impossible to forget. 3. American Foursquare House. Coming in at number 3 is the American Foursquare, a no-nonsense classic that reigned from the mid-1890s through the late 1930s. Born as a quiet rebellion against the overly ornate Victorian homes, the Foursquare offered clean lines, a sturdy box shape, and maximum interior space on a modest city lot. Step up onto its wide front porch and you'd often find a porch swing creaking softly, the smell of freshly brewed coffee drifting from the kitchen. Inside, sunlight poured through tall windows into rooms trimmed with built-in cabinetry, a hallmark of its Craftsman influence. Known as the Prairie Box, it shared DNA with Frank Lloyd Wright's Prairie style, practical, balanced, and deeply American. Many were ordered straight from Sears or Aladdin catalogs, arriving in neat stacks of pre-cut lumber ready for weekend assembly. But by the 1940s, the style gave way to smaller post-war homes, leaving these boxy beauties as reminders of a time when houses were built to last generations. In Midwestern neighborhoods, you can still spot them, solid, square, and quietly dignified, like an old friend watching over the street. 4. American Craftsman House. Coming in at number 4 is the American Craftsman, a style that brought the warmth of handcrafted artistry into everyday life in the early 20th century. Born from the arts and crafts movement, these homes celebrated natural materials, wood, stone, and brick, over factory-made ornament. Picture a low-pitched roof with broad eaves, exposed rafters, and a deep front porch framed by tapered columns. On a cool California evening, you might smell the cedar beams as you settled into a porch chair, listening to the soft hum of the neighborhood. Inside, every detail felt intentional: built-in bookshelves, window seats, and fireplaces framed with artisanal tile. Affordable enough for the middle class. Craftsman homes made fine design accessible, thanks to advocates like Gustav Stickley and the popular California bungalow variant. By the 1930s, the style began to fade, replaced by sleeker, more modern designs. Yet the best examples, like the Gamble House in Pasadena, still radiate a timeless comfort. Walking into one today feels less like entering a house and more like stepping into a work of art you can live in. 5. Shotgun House. Coming in at number 5 is the Shotgun House. A slender slice of American history that lined the streets of southern cities from the late 1800s through the 1920s. Just 12 feet wide, these homes arranged their rooms in a straight line, front door to back door, so perfectly aligned that, as the old joke goes, you could fire a shotgun through the front and have the blast pass clean out the back without hitting a wall. On a humid New Orleans evening, front doors stood open, letting the breeze drift straight through as neighbors waved from their stoops. Built cheaply and quickly, often side by side, shotgun houses maximized land use and kept residents cool in the pre-air conditioning South. The style likely came from Haiti and West African influences, carrying with it both practicality and cultural heritage. By the mid-20th century, many fell into disrepair under urban renewal projects, but some have been lovingly restored in recent decades. Elvis Presley himself was born in a modest shotgun house in Tupelo, Mississippi, a reminder that even the humblest of homes can hold a piece of American legend. 6. Tudor Revival House. Coming in at number 6 is the Tudor Revival, a romantic nod to medieval England that found a devoted following in America during the 1920s and 30s. These homes were built for those who loved the look of old-world craftsmanship, steeply pitched roofs, decorative half-timbering, and tall brick chimneys that seemed plucked from a storybook. Imagine pulling up to one on a crisp autumn afternoon, the scent of wood smoke curling into the air as sunlight glinted off leaded glass windows. Favored by the wealthy, Tudor Revival houses brought a sense of permanence and tradition to suburban streets. Especially in places like Westchester County, New York, or Englewood, New Jersey, they whispered of history, even if that history was recreated with modern comforts. But after World War II, the style faded as America leaned toward more efficient, low-maintenance designs. By the 1970s and 80s, builders simplified the look with synthetic materials, losing much of its original charm. Today, a well-preserved Tudor Revival stands like a castle in miniature, sturdy, dignified, and full of quiet magic. 7. Dutch Colonial Revival House. Coming in at number 7 is the Dutch Colonial Revival, a graceful reimagining of the homes first built by settlers in the 1600s and 1700s. Its signature gambrel roof, shaped like a barn, offered a welcoming, almost rural charm, paired with wide eaves that cast generous shade on summer days. Picture walking up a brick path to a symmetrical facade, central front door framed by shuttered windows, the whole house bathed in soft afternoon light. Popular in the early 20th century, especially in the Northeast, this style often featured wood siding, dormer windows, and cozy interiors filled with natural light. It spoke to America's yearning for simplicity and a connection to its colonial roots. By the late 1930s, changing tastes and the rise of modern housing trends pushed it out of favor. One of the most famous examples, 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, earned notoriety for reasons far beyond its architecture. Today, a true Dutch colonial revival feels like stepping into a piece of living history, where every creak of the floorboards tells a story from long before our time. 8. Lustron Home. Coming in at number 8 is the Lustron Home, a post-war experiment in modern living that looked like no other house on the block. Built in the late 1940s from enameled steel panels, these homes shimmered in the sunlight, their surfaces cool to the touch and nearly impervious to wear. Imagine a quiet suburban street where, instead of wood siding, the houses glistened in pastel blues, yellows, or tans, promising a future of low-maintenance living. Created by industrialist Carl Strandland to address America's housing shortage after World War II. Each Lustron arrived as a kit of over 3,000 parts, ready to be assembled into a tidy, efficient home. Inside, metal walls, built-in storage, And even a combination clothes and dishwashing machine gave the interiors a futuristic feel. But financial troubles and government intervention cut production short. And by 1950, the dream had ended after just over 2,000 were built. Some still stand today. Quiet steel time capsules of an era when Americans believed technology could reshape everyday life. 9. Atomic Ranch House. Coming in at number 9 is the Atomic Ranch. A sleek, space-age twist on the classic ranch house that captured America's imagination in the years after World War II. These homes embraced open floor plans, bold geometry, and an easy flow between indoor and outdoor living. Picture sunlight streaming through a wall of glass into a living room furnished in bright mid-century colors, while sliding doors open to a patio perfect for summer barbecues. Architect Cliff May helped pioneer the ranch concept in the 1930s. But by the 1950s, builders like Joseph Eichler took it into the atomic age, adding butterfly roofs, clear-story windows, and splashes of futuristic design. Affordable and stylish, 9 out of 10 new homes in America during the 1950s were ranches, with the Atomic Ranch standing out for its modern flair. By the late 1960s, though, changing tastes and suburban sprawl began to edge out the style. Today, preserved examples feel like architectural postcards from an era when optimism for the future was built right into the walls. 10. Brutalist Home. Rounding out our list at number 10 is the Brutalist Home. A bold and uncompromising style that rose to prominence in the 1950s and reached its peak through the 60s and 70s. Built from raw, unfinished concrete, these homes favored sharp angles, geometric shapes, and an unadorned honesty that rejected decorative excess. Picture a towering facade of textured concrete on a rainy afternoon, water streaking down the surface while the heavy scent of wet stone hangs in the air. Inspired by modernist pioneers like Le Corbusier, Brutalist homes emphasized function over form, often serving as experimental residences for architects or as part of larger housing developments. While admired by some for their integrity and strength, others found them cold and uninviting. By the late 1970s, public opinion had shifted, linking brutalism to urban decay, and the style quietly slipped from favor. Still, a few remain today, protected as architectural landmarks, reminders of a time when design dared to be raw, honest, and defiantly different. So, which of these old house styles would you bring back if you could? Was it the elegance of the Queen Anne, the charm of the Dutch Colonial, or maybe the quirky appeal of the Octagon House? Drop a comment below and share the memories, or the dreams, these designs stir in you. And if you enjoyed this trip through America's architectural past, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Vintage USA Vault, and ring the bell so you'll never miss our next nostalgic journey.